we've got our brand new Bronco. And we even took the time, like many Bronco owners, we couldn't resist. We had to park beside a Jeep Wrangler Renegade when we saw one. Sorry, Rubicon. Renegade. Whew, I'm out in the field. Rubicon 4XE. You know, big Bronco news. Ford has to compete with, they have to be realistic. And they need to compete with the market. And they need to stay up to date with the market. You know, you look at the Wrangler. For the new 2024 Wrangler, what did it do? It incorporated a lot of things that they probably wouldn't have incorporated if there wasn't competition. So they incorporated a better interior, a bigger touchscreen, a better looking front grille. They had to, they had to invest and spend money making the product better because they've got good competition with the very good competition, tough competition with the Bronco here. So competition makes everyone better. So I think that is, Marie just didn't want to be in this photo. I didn't tell her to lay down. I was like, honey, just stay in the photo.
I wasn't thinking that you were having me in the shot.
I didn't mean to. So big, huge Bronco news is that, really the Jeep is better now and the Bronco has no choice to become better. August 14th. According to my fleet order bank information, August 14th so far is looking like the date that we're going to get those order guides. That's, the Moses's tablets. It's the commandments. They're straight, they're strict, they're obvious. Everything's spelled out to a T. We are going to know exactly what the new 2024 Bronco is going to be all about. We're going to know all about its business. And for changes, Winnie's excited. Winnie just loves his Bronco. Have you and it's wild. We tell Winston, it's weird. We go, do you want to go for a lightning ride? And he'd be like, oh, okay. He seemed like he's willing to come along.
That much. He's crying in the back seat.
Yeah, he cries the whole time. In the Bronco, it's wild. He just wants to stick his head out the window. He's a thrilled puppy, and we're all going to be thrilled puppies when we find out the 2024 Bronco news, because I'm expecting some decent upgrades, which is really rare for a mid-model refresh. Normally, mid-model refresh means not a whole lot's going on. No. Let's talk about the positive of a 2024 Bronco. Marie, what do you think we'll get on the 2024 Bronco?
I'm not sure that much. I'm not the specialist like you.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I will need help on that one.
No worries. You can talk about what your impressions of the Wild Track are, and, do stay tuned to the channel. Hit the bell notifications so you don't miss out, because we'll do a full review where, everything is very much very visual. We'll do a live, what you could say is like a filmed review. But what we're getting out of the new Bronco, I think it's time that they announce the plug-in. You've got it on the Jeep. The 4XE is an excellent product. And I know, I'm going to talk about it after, and I know this isn't the freshest news, but we are going to talk about how Jeep isn't going to be selling in, if on dealer lots, they're only going to have the plug-in option for 14 different states. How upset would you be? I hope Ford doesn't do that. And, that's, of course, it's not because Jeep doesn't like gasoline. And the Dodge Challenger dropping the V8 isn't because they don't like V8s. It's because they have to follow these CAFE rules where they've got to get their fleet average. That means over all the vehicles that they sell, that needs to average out to having a 50 mile per gallon average. Otherwise, you pay fines to the government. Or you buy carbon credits from Tesla. So Tesla gets to make a whole lot of money. Part of the reason why Tesla is so profitable, just selling tax credits, carbon tax credits to Dodge is a multi-billion-dollar per year business. And it's all phony, it's all made up, and they always seem to forget to count the impact of mining the battery, where the electricity is coming from, as well as the environmental impact of recycling that battery. That's a different pile of horse crap for later on in the show if I get in a ranting mood. But I'm still very happy because I had a great steak and I'm drinking fake beer. My brain doesn't know the difference. I'm thrilled. Cheers to everyone. But I'm expecting a plug-in. I'm also expecting, if we can get some better, more photos in here. Fantastic light design here. And maybe it's just me, but I can't zoom in, sorry. Honey, could you try to see if you can get that done? So we already have fantastic front and back lights. And
It's worse.
I do suspect a slight modification to those lights. I'm almost hoping that they keep the lights. I find the lights and the Bronco up front pretty much perfect. I
It's a
can't
good look.
imagine it getting any better. But fenders here, they're gonna change. I'm confident. I've got a strong feeling about this. That's somewhere where they can play around with the vehicle, and if people are upset, they can just buy the old fenders. So it's low risk, high reward. You change the fenders, those that like the change, it's going to be, it's going to be a big reward for them. It costs next to nothing because this is just, let's be honest, people, this is just cheap plastic that somehow looks good, but it's unbelievably cheap plastic.
Yeah, you're lucky it looks great like that.
Yes. Mind you, if you go to replace them with original Ford parts, you're not going to feel it's that cheap. And you're like, Johnny's full of baloney. He said they're cheap. They're super expensive. I mean, they're cheap to produce. They're inexpensive to produce. And they're not cheap in quality because we've banged these up. We've gone down dirt roads at like 110, 120 kilometers an hour, rocks kicking into them. We've flown, not this new Bronco, but our old Bronco, flown through farmers' fields that we were allowed to be in. And they stood up. They were strong. We didn't see any damage on them. We were thrilled. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Currently, you can only get a steel rear bumper, the full steel rear bumper on the Black Diamond in the Badlands. But I'd like to see that as an option in 2024, that you can add a steel bumper on any model. Because really, if I want to take this rock crawling, this wild track, it makes it a hard choice between a Badlands that already has the stabilizer bar disconnect and a steel rear bumper, and this plastic bumper, which is going to crumple a whole lot easier and cost me a bunch of money. I don't mind if I damage the back bumper because the aftermarket companies make fantastic bumpers for not too expensive. I keep coming across Rough Country as being not that expensive. Like Rough Country generally is like really very low prices. So that's maybe something I would look at if I break that back bumper. Now, loving the fact that you can now have these hoop steps, and I want to test with my jack in an area unseen, like a small little area, put the jack up to the bottom circular bar and see if it can support the weight of the vehicle, because the Badlands model, of course, those are rock sliders and can support the weight of the vehicle. And
They had a great look.
there's no talk about it. Yeah. Either way, it is a fantastic running board. You can put your 2 feet on these 2 steps and very easily open and close the top. So I'm really enjoying it. But for 2024, plug-in, some fender changes, new wheel options, probably a little bit of change, maybe the mirrors, because that's low cost, high reward. You're probably not going to upset people too badly, and they can always just, buy the older model if they really prefer it. The grills, we could very well see new grills, also low cost as a change. High reward, because some people are just going to be thrilled if you got a 2021 and you see new grills and new fenders and new side mirrors. That might just be probably enough reason for you to change. Now the hood, we've seen it year over year throughout the decades on Mustangs. Mid-model refreshes, they often change the front headlights and the hood. I love the hood on this thing. Could it be a different design without bothering me? Yes, and I think most people agree. It's a great design currently, but if it changes, I don't mind. The lights, I really hope they don't mess around with them. They look retro and amazing. But maybe for 2024 mid-model refresh, maybe they'll give LED lights for, with the signature round to everyone. What I would like to see, and I'm not expecting to happen, I think the higher trims, for example, Outerbanks, Badlands, Wild Track, the Heritage Editions, I think they should all get different and better tops, standard. I think they should all get standard, a better sound system. Would you agree?
Yeah, you didn't love the sound system of the other Bronco that we had?
The 21 Badlands as well as the 2021 Outer Banks Sasquatch package. The sound system on one, I think we blew a speaker because it ended up being pretty horrible at the end. That's probably because
shaking.
I blew, shaking. And if you went over 14, 15 volume, it started to sound bad. And at 16, 17 volume, it sounded horrible, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't that much, how can I say that? It was not higher. 15, it's not a higher sound, so.
No, it didn't. Yeah, so the sound was quite poor. Now,
this one we see a little difference.
yeah, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah,
this
we were
is a
not
good
sure
area
the
for
other
you.
day if they had a new, another set of speaker.
Yeah.
In the
by
bottom of the door, we
the
were not sure.
footwells. In the footwells, they're not on the doors, of course, because they don't want them getting wet. You take your doors off. They don't want you to lose your speakers. So in the footwells, the sound is now so much better. So it's now maybe 6.5 or 7 out of 10. But those speakers sound so much better. We were asking, did our 21s even have speakers in the footwells? So please, Bronco owners in the comments section, help us out. Does your 2021 or 2022 Ford Bronco have speakers in the footwell?
Because we don't remember, so we think it's a new thing.
Well, it's
not sure.
Or the speakers are just so much better because now it can actually shake my pants. I feel the bass in on my
foot?
legs.
Yeah.
We can listen up to volume 20, and at volume 20, I don't want to put it any louder, just because I don't want it to be louder. But it sounds great.
The sound is clear.
The sound's clear. The sound's good. Now, it does sound like it's a vehicle running with 2 very good speakers and no other speakers. And when you do focus in and start hearing the top speakers, they still sound below average. And I mean market average. If I compare them to my 1991 Toyota speakers, they're the world's best speakers compared to that 91 Toyota MR2's speakers. But I mean, to today's technology and what today's vehicles are offering, let's say we take a Lincoln Nautilus that I was in last week, had it for a day. If we compare that, day and a half, if we compare it to the Lincoln Nautilus's sound system and say that's a 10 out of 10, well, the Broncos 2 speakers at the bottom would be about a 7, but the ones on the top would be, let's say, a 3 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10. They're really not very impressive. And the speakers in the back, I don't hear anything coming from them. Just like before, we have a high package, so we don't have the full out. M. Peugeot, in the video that we premiered on Friday night, I think, or Saturday night, about the Wild Track versus Badlands, he made a great point. He said if you get a kicker sub amp kit, I think it was the 45 SH, I looked it up. It's about $550 to $650 US, depending who you buy it from. And I went through the specs, and yeah, that looks great. You can probably have, and here's the thing. You're going to pay someone to do all that wiring work for you. It's going to be expensive in regards to install. So do you want to risk getting a $200 system? Because you can get some speaker boxes that will fit underneath your seat, just like the kicker system. But
so that's there that you have the idea to have add a sound system to the Bronco.
It is M.
You didn't tell me it's
fault.
not M. Peugeot's fault.
So
I need to speak to him.
So kicker 45 SH, I believe is what it was. I must be getting it wrong. And Crutchfield here. I must be getting it wrong, and M. Peugeot isn't here to correct me tonight. But it's a speaker box, and it has the amp included, but you can get, Boss, or BOSS, so Bose. You can get a Bose kit for a relatively decent price.
It's BOSE, not like Boss.
Seat subwoofer and amp. So Winston's joining the show here. So, you can see here you've got the kicker 46HS. So I was off. And Peugeot says this is going to be fantastic. He knows what he's talking about. So that is a fantastic option. But it's not the least expensive option. You could go with Blue Punk is making them. You've got, let's see who else. Rockville here. I don't know about them. Pioneer, Alpine, all options. So you've got to really look through it. The main thing that I want to point out is if you go with the Ford soundbar, I'm not against Ford accessories. I love how Ford accessories are guaranteed usually for 2 or 3 years. So yeah, you had Blue Punk here at $195. So we should actually add that to our site here. Just zoom in here. So you've got the Blue Punk 10-inch car under seat, super slim, and the price is $195. So do you go with the kicker at basically $600, or do you go with Blue Punk and hope it does the job? 200 watts. You always want to look at JBL. I like JBL. JBL has always had a good quality versus price, in my opinion. When you go over to Ford, though, you're looking at $923, and you know what's this here? That's the sound bar behind your head in the Bronco. I know it's going to play great music. I love the fact that it's going to play great music. I don't like the fact that it can already not, like, I already see just enough. I'm not willing to lose that the visual.
That's true, because it take all the place. You don't have that much visual with that one.
So, you know, Rough Country makes one. You go over to Rough Country here, but once again, what are you seeing out of your back window? I use my back window. Maybe those of you out there that feel you don't need to know what's behind you, that's fine. I don't know. When I drive, I just need to know if someone's following me real close because I need to know when to brake check them. That's just a joke. Don't do that. You'll get into an accident. They'll get into an accident. They'll drive into your tire and they'll ruin my Wild Track bumper because it's made of plastic. I feel that kind of is not great on Ford's part. I think Ford should have really at least had the option, a no-charge option, or a low charge, maybe $500 from factory to choose to have the back steel bumper. But the Badlands has it. And the Wild Track 2.7 liter is $10,000 more than a Badlands 2.7 liter. So in the video that I showed the other day, if you want to check it out at the end of this live, we had a $73,700 Canadian Badlands Bronco red versus $83,000, $10,000 more Wild Track. And I don't like spending an extra 10 and having less. I have trouble with that. So let's go see what that other Bronco looks like here. See if the photos actually made it into the show. And they did. So you've got the Badlands, you're saving $10,000. I think that is a fantastic option. You could have the steel bumper, but this is the half steel, partial plastic bumper. I just like the look of the steel and I don't care about fog lights. I've never felt the need for them. These tires you can bring out in the snow. In our area, the Wild Track comes with tires that are not legal in the snow. If they were, they'd be a higher quality, more expensive tire. I think the Wild Track should get that as well. So I'd like to see better tire options for the higher trims from Ford for 2024. But honestly, I'm going to be disappointed. I don't expect it. Mind you, it did happen on the F-150. I've complained for years on how F-150s, you can have LT 3-peak snowflake rated tires, meaning you can run them year round, even if you're in an area that legally requires winter tires. They pass as both winter tires and summer tires. And Ford finally has it as a $350 option on the F-150s that have 18-inch wheels. Now these, I believe, are your favorite mags of all.
Always my favorite. I love the Badlands. It was the first Bronco that we have, and since then, I just want to look at the Badlands. But you try different model all the time, so that's good too. We'll know the difference between them.
I'm
trying it.
Thrilled with the Haas 3.0. It was the real reasons I went Wild Track is I wanted Haas 3.0, just like Marine Vet. I wanted that Haas 3.0 for that better ride for my back. And we've noticed it. We've done the train track test over and over. And it's definitely smoother on the train tracks. You feel next to nothing in the seat. And the Ford Bronco seats are unbelievably comfortable. So they need no improvement. Unlike Jeep, all the Jeeps we've sat in the past that I've reviewed and not made videos on. I've reviewed probably about 6 of them and made a video only on one, one. The seats are horrible in those vehicles. You slide right around. The seat in the Bronco holds you in place, and it's unbelievably comfortable. Not the case for the Jeep, but competition makes everyone better. So I'm looking forward to trying out the 2024 Jeep Wrangler. Bronco seats are great. They're almost certainly not changing for 2024. Really, it's going to come down to grille, fenders, maybe bumpers. Definitely the grille, by the way. The grills. Maybe the hood. I'd say there's pretty decent chance that it'll be a little bit of different changes in the hood. I don't expect the sheet metal to change here. There's a lot more of a cost to change the sheet metal here versus just changing the plastic right there. Those are the changes I really expect for the 2024 Ford Bronco.